what's the definition of reporter? Because we have two people that regularly attend here, and that's more of a propaganda.
It's inappropriate. More notice that goes out. There isn't any criteria for meeting certain parameters.
What is a reporter? What is a news source? Don't shut me down, Robert. They're NPR.
This is not.
It's personal.
It's personal. That's right. It is personal.
For you.
We're not talking about personal today.
Okay, the question was
let's move on.
What is a newspaper?
We don't. I don't think that we have to set criteria on what is a newspaper.
What's a reporter?
I think that we have a list for notices, and we're going to send it out to everyone. And I don't think we have to define who is qualified or not qualified for public notice purposes.
Well, here's something that I think we do need to address this, because at the Maryland Port Tour, we had people attending that. It's a very fine line in what we're saying is a reporter and what's a private citizen. And who's to say other people that regularly attend couldn't have gotten on that bus as well?
I believe strongly that everyone that attended was there for a purpose and
I agree with you. They were there for a purpose. Yes. Okay, so I think we should be very diligent in identifying what is a reporter and what is a newspaper.
Does anyone else have any comments?
Do you have your own definitions?
I would use the standard that's already out there.
Well, please tell me what your definition of reporter is. Well, we already know that, and we went through this about 1 month ago. I showed you distinctly exactly what it was. And both of the newspapers that you see present in this hall are newspapers. Period.
Yeah, the Herald and the Cecil Whig are newspapers of record because they have a periodical permit. And I'm talking about the Cecil Times and Guardian are propaganda.
That's not the purpose of this discussion at this point in time. We're talking about open meetings. And we, the council, want to have open meetings. And I asked Jim to put some guideline in the policy and manual for the purpose of that we will apply. And if we overdo it, good. If we overdo it, that's fine.
There was one other thing. The Open Meetings Act manual, I just found this. Appendix A, Chapter 10-509B2. A public body need not prepare written minutes of an open session if live and archived video or audio streaming of the open session is available.
The charter specifically states we have to have written minutes.
I just thought that it was the Open Meeting Act that saw the benefit of having the archived audio.
I think the Open Meeting Act sets a minimum standard. And I think that we are more than willing to do more than the minimum. On that vein, Mr. Massey, we've had a few issues with getting our meeting agendas properly posted on our website. Can you explain to the council what the problem has been and what we're doing to rectify that, please?
Sure. As you know, we are required to put the agenda on our website on Friday by the end of business. And so Vicki Rinkerman is the one who actually does the processing. We've been using a software that the county's website has been in place for several years, and I'm told that they're looking to update it to provide a better software so that we won't be having some of the troubles we're having as of late, because we have so much hypertext and the length of our agendas. There are times when we have to get the IT people to come over and help us that something goes wrong. What we've been doing is, as we've tried to provide additional links, there's multi-ways when you get on the county website to get to our agenda. And last Friday, without knowing, one of the pathways did not have the link, and so there was some calls that we received that the public could not get to the agenda. But so we looked at it Monday to see, and there was a link that had not been provided. So we are endeavoring to sort of simplify the way you can get it in one click so that it won't be so difficult, because it's really not fair to the public not to have the agenda readily available. And I think that we have so much information on the website that sometimes it makes it difficult for our users. And so we're going to have sort of a one-button approach that they can, once they get on the council website, then they can just click once and they'll be on the agenda.
And I apologize to the public for any hardship that they may have endured not finding the agenda in a timely basis. And I've asked Jim to work with the county executive's office to resolve those issues so we can make it easier and faster for the public to access our agendas in the future. There is no conspiracy going on. It does make us look bad. It does make us look bad when we can't post our agendas and people have trouble finding them in a easy method. So, Jim, that's a priority of yours to get that resolved.
Sure.
Jim, do you have any?
If I may.
Let me think. Jim, do you have anything else? Mr. Wilson, Robinson, do you have something to add?
Actually, I had promised that I would forward to Mr. Massey comments on the council rules and procedures that I did do. I thought they were gonna be introduced and talked about earlier and didn't realize. So, I'm not sure if you want to go over there. Our basic concerns is the fact that the concept of the original annual budget is an ordinance and the budget actions are amendments to that. The definition of that, a bill and a resolution in the council rules and procedures do not clarify what the content of each is supposed to be. It is in part important because in some instances, hearings are required of public hearing, whereas in other instances, it is not. There also was a suggestion on my part that the council adopt the ability to use substitute language. And the reason for that is, if you'll all remember the instance where in the budget resolution, Mr. Massey had to say, delete row 1 and insert row 1, delete row 2, insert row 2. The concept of the substitute is whether it is an appendix or whether it is the entire legislative piece that allows one to substitute, and as long as it meets the requirements of not constituting a change of substance, that be permitted. In part, this is important, these three distinctions along with the potential for substitute, because as part of the council manager's report, he normally reviews the legislation for the evening, and one of the pieces of legislation is resolution number 66-2013. And the legislation based on the last version that we have is being introduced in a way that does not produce a balanced budget and is missing some of what I would believe to be required by the charter, and ask that we discuss that.
I agree. The resolution needs to be defined, especially, we've just introduced this at the last legislative hearing, and now we're voting on it 2 weeks later. Who decides if a resolution gets a hearing? And who decides if there is a major change? And from what you're saying, Winston, there has, in your opinion, there has been a major change, which needs to be reintroduced.
Reintroduction is a different issue.
Mr. President, is this the appropriate time to talk about the major facilities resolution?
Okay, first of all, Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
you did send an email. You didn't send it to all the council members, did you?
No, I was asked to send it to Mr. Massey and yourself, and they did.
do we have time this afternoon to talk about this resolution?
There's nothing scheduled for this afternoon.
Why couldn't we talk about it immediately after the closed meeting? I hate to
Yeah.
schedule meetings.
Yes, can we do that? And I'd like to.
Why can't we talk about it now? It's on,
Because you don't have all the information.
I'd like everybody to have all the information.
I can make copies of this, but it can be for after the close.
I'd like to do it after the closed session. Is our, special counsel here regarding this? Yeah. So rather than holding him up, I'd like to finish our regular scheduled meeting, then have the closed session and go back to this matter and put our.
Who's our special counsel on this?
It's on the litigation, the CC recovery litigation.
My choice is special counsel, why not to do right words?
It's legit.
The lead counsel from legit, is here to discuss, CC litigation. So, I'd like to wrap up our regular meeting and then go back to this as soon as we finish our closed session.
Look, can I just ask one question with Mr. Robinson real quick? You said that this isn't going to allow for a balanced budget. So I thought this was based on the rate study for the facility fee increase.
The resolution, the last reading I have, shows a reduction of revenue of $250,000 and does not show any source of income to make that.
And that's projected, that's not reality.
Right, that someone.
All of the budgets are based on projection.
I understand that, but I think that's important to know, to use the word projected.
Okay, I'd like to reserve discussion on this matter until after we finish our closed session. How long do you anticipate the closed session to take? Half an hour?
I think that'll be driven by how many questions you have for legal counsel. Half hour may get it done. I'm not sure how in depth, your level of questioning will be and how much guidance he's gonna need to give, or whether he can even do all individually at some point.
Can I ask real quick, who decided that this was not gonna have a public hearing?
Yes, we did.
I don't remember that coming up, was that in the legislative, there was a vote? No.
It was not a vote, I think the consensus decides that it wasn't necessary.
I don't recall that, and I think there should be a vote, and I certainly would have supported a public hearing, because there's so much controversy surrounding
Because
this issue.
there is not so much time.
Oh, Senator Point is right smack dab.
This is not about Senator
This is
Point.
not about Senator Point.
It's about the rate study and the bogusness of the rate study and Senator Point.
It's about hookup fees, Diane.
Okay.
Should have been at the meeting with Mr.
Mr. Robinson,
Dan White.
can you come back after our closed session? Okay. We'll move on to council member items. Ms. Bowlesby, do you have any new items?
Yeah, on Wednesday, I attended an all-day, retreat, with, the local management board as well, and at that time, and I'll let Councilman Bruno talk about the drug symposium study results. But we continued to meet in the afternoon to put together the beginnings of a strategic plan, which will include areas of safety, stability, school completion, and under safety, we were talking about the need for drug abuse and maltreatment initiatives. That plan the strategic plan certainly wasn't developed in one afternoon, and we'll be continuing to work on that. The only other thing that I have, I met with the two women, and I can't remember their names, that run the youth panel, and I was so impressed with what they do. I really did not realize that the youth panel is as active as they are. They see about 150 potential problems, arrests a year, which is really great. And lastly, I just want to put in a plug for the Milburn Theater. Unfortunately, it's over, but if you didn't see 1776, you should have. It was one of the best productions I have seen in not only this area, but they rival New York.
Thank you. Councilwoman Brunel, do you have any items?
Last Tuesday, I attended the drug court, along with Walt Rosansky, who's been a very concerned citizen.
Could you speak into the mic?
Concerned citizen who has been on his own time attending many meetings. I think we both become very familiar with the problem. There's something controversial going on right now in drug court in their policy to not accept clients that are currently in the methadone program. They're getting a lot of pressure from the state. Thought that was interesting. And they did have a full agenda. I think and Mr. McCarthy also attended that. I had the opportunity to speak with Sherry Lazarus and Judge Bain afterwards as well. On Wednesday, I also attended the drug symposium, Health Resources in Action, conducted that study. No surprises. They gave a summary of how bad Cecil County is in crime related to abuse of drugs, where we fall in opiate addiction, related, just all the related things going along with that. And what I found to be very interesting, I was concerned when this came up with the local management board that they wanted to do this study, fund this study. And I didn't want it to be another justification for bringing in funding for programs and not addressing the problem. And there was a very good discussion that was starting to get started about what do we do with dirty doctors. And the social services director stopped the conversation and said this isn't a discussion for here and now. Very, very disturbed by that. That is one of the biggest issues that we need to address, that we react and we're effective in holding them accountable, and we can certainly see that they're not being dealt with in the same manner that are people who are selling drugs on the street, and they should be. I don't know, I was a little concerned by that meeting. I'll have more to talk about that on later. I had gotten feedback on the county flag and seal, the proposal for changing it back to the original seal that was discovered. And an overwhelming majority do not support the change.
How many is that?
Everyone I've come into contact with thinks it's ridiculous. They believe it's a trivial issue that we're to address right now. We have much more critical issues to address. The fiscal note just came in. Hold on, this is my public.
We're gonna have a public hearing.
31,000, I'm gonna share some of the comments. Either they believe the seal is, the current seal is more visually pleasing and represents Cecil County much better. And the original seal, it represents when England had a stronghold over America or Cecil County, and what does that have to do with us today? Many have brought up, what do leopards have to do with Cecil County? It just doesn't seem to be a valid representation for Cecil County today. And we have much more important things to be thinking about. Let's see here. And Mr. Raymond, did we schedule yet that meeting with Mr. Raymond? The stormwater management pond issue. Mr. Raymond had brought up the concerns.
Raymond.
Pete Raymond, Holland Acres.
The administration is paying something within the month, but I've not heard anything more.
Okay, and while we have.
Mr. Weimer, you weren't here last week, right?
No.
Mr. Raymond came before the council to expressed his concerns about Department of Public Works actions on updating upgrading their stormwater management facility. And the council agreed to meet with the executive's office to discuss the updates to the stormwater management facility program.
Yeah, I saw an email.
And when you're ready and gotten your thoughts
Just an
together.
update on that process.
Yes, and if there's any recommendations for changes on the process.
It's not an update on the process, it's identifying the concerns that Mr. Raymond brought to light about the weaknesses in the process.
And what, I think you should read or listen to the motion and the discussion, because we're not gonna get into the weeds of Mr. Raymond's problems or concerns. at this
Didn't say
time.
Mr. Raymond's problems or concerns, he identified weaknesses in the process to where developers might be letting off the hook by DPW, and we need to make sure that we're not putting the burden on the public if it doesn't belong there. And I appreciate that you called up Mr. Raymond to apologize for your behavior. For him to take time out of his busy day and to share with us his concerns and his encounter in this process, and I thought they were very valid, and you agreed they were valid. We should be addressing them. That's our job here.
We are not a judge and a jury, we're not gonna make a decision on decisions. But we will listen to the Public Works Department if they need help, if they need resources, if they wanna change the policy, they wanna change the flow chart. I think that we should cooperate in making the process go better.
One of the things that he brought to light was he had a document that clearly showed Mr. Montgomery claimed there were no restrictions on that property. And he said he specifically purchased that lot because there were no restrictions on that property. Is there anything that we could do to look out for the citizen when developers do take steps like that, or they set up a maintenance organization that is not going along with the proper procedure, and something that we can do to look out for the consumer? That's the issue. No, you don't want to do anything?
No, we agreed to have a meeting with the Public Works and the executive staff to discuss how this process is going.
I listened to the audio, and it was to review concerns that Mr. Raymond brought up in his presentation. Okay? Yes, we did. And why wouldn't you want to do that?
Because it's a legal matter, and I think that it hasn't, the process has not gone through, the process just hasn't gone through the flow chart as it's intended.
We're not restricted to a process and a flow chart. We need to look out for the fairness of this process to the citizens, not exclusively giving cover to developers.
Do you have anything else?
Yes, tier map. Mr. Wine, is there any movement on the stakeholders getting together, meeting as the county executive claimed she was putting together?
Yeah, I don't know if she ever claimed to meet with stakeholders.
It was a public hearing.
I know she is reviewing some possible changes. No action has been taken at this point.
Okay, well, I'll go back and listen to that audio hearing as well. It was the public hearing on the tier map, and she said that initially it had been submitted to meet the deadline, and that she would get together with stakeholders and resubmit a plan that was more consistent with our comprehensive plan. And at the meeting we had with the Bay Cabinet, I had asked Mr. Paul if our state funding could be in jeopardy because of the map that we submitted, and he said yes. And here are the funds that are in jeopardy: Program Open Space for Parks and Rec, Rural Legacy, MALP, along with the county's recertification status, Department of Health and Human Services, Board of Education, Bay Restoration Funds for County WIP, state user funds, highway user funds, don't know if we'll ever see any of that money. So Maryland operates under an executive budgetary system that the governor has the ability to allocate and withhold funds when he submits his budget to the General Assembly. And they have given every indication that they'll use whatever tools they have. There have been other counties that have had a problem in getting a tier map together, and they've sat down with the state and talked it through. Where we're at right now is putting us in a very vulnerable position. And all I'm asking is that she follow through on what she claimed she was going to do.
Councilwoman Brumel, I know for a fact that County Executive Moore has spoken and has had many discussions with Secretary Hall. Her planning staff has also had discussions with the Secretary and his staff about continuing those discussions toward looking at some other options related to that issue.
So is he in a better place than he was at the Bay Cabinet meeting? He didn't sound like he was too encouraged. And Mr. Massey, do you have anything on the sludge spreading, the public meeting that was supposed to be scheduled?
We have submitted the request for public input meetings for about 3 or 4, and they said they were the Maryland, Department of Environment,
Yeah.
said they would do them this summer, so I have a call in to find out, that here we are in July and we've not heard anything of what's going on. But there was just one recently that we sent a request for a public hearing, and we also said when are the other cases up for a hearing?
Could you put another one?
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Dunn? Mr. McCarthy?
Last Tuesday, June 25th, I also attended a meeting that Councilwoman Brunel referenced. The court was conducted by Judge Baines. It seemed like the emphasis was rehabilitation of the users. Unfortunately, my overall impression was that most of the users who appeared to be chronic users seemed to be quite indifferent to morphotherapy. That was one issue. The other one basically pertains to what Councilwoman Brunel mentioned concerning the study that had been conducted by a research institution out of Massachusetts. The lady who did the primary research was requested or asked to come, and she made a presentation. Mrs. Brunel implied that they were not interested in dealing with the dirty doctors, if I might call them that.
Not
They're
her,
very.
not her. I'm sorry.
That's right.
No,
Who's speaking here?
I'm just.
I mean, I am in total agreement with you and your feeling about these doctors. They feel quite the same way too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they said that this was another issue to itself, and because this lady had taken her time to come from Massachusetts to preside or present her information to the group, that they felt that that was an inappropriate subject at that particular moment in
She
time.
didn't speak. She hadn't spoken.
Finish.
Okay, that's it. That's it.
Okay, I sit on the Department of Social, Board of Social Services, and there was a discussion about the meeting, and there was a discussion about the consultant's report. The fact is that the meeting that was held, the seminar that was held was not to discuss the outcome. This was a draft report that was preliminarily conveyed to the committee that were participating in hearing it for their purposes, and I would encourage you to put it in writing, your concerns, and send it to the consultant if you don't think that it was heard properly. But the fact is that there was 30 pages of recommendations on what action Cecil County can take to prevent and to reduce drug use in Cecil County. And there will be many meetings in the future on reviewing those actions, discussing those actions, setting a strategic plan to incorporate as many of those actions as we believe are going to be necessary, that we can afford, that we can actually take action on. It will take a tremendous amount of resources, both in terms of time, money, and effort, to see this study implemented. if we truly believe it's a problem, then we're gonna have to resource it, and we're going to have to put someone in charge to make it happen. So I believe that this is still first steps to get where we need to be. And I believe that the Department of Social Services, the Health Department, and many others are gonna work together to get this ball rolling. All right, Mr. Allison is the lead attorney from the group here or not?
He's upstairs right now.
Do you need to speak to him before meeting with us?
I'd like to if I could, yeah.
How much time do you need?
15 minutes.
Okay, so we're gonna recess for 15 minutes and then go into closed session to discuss this litigation. And then we're gonna reconvene to discuss, who has the resolution number on top of the
66201.
This is the resolution for postpone for 90 days implementation of the wastewater connection charge. So anyone that wants to stick around, there will be a live discussion about that particular resolution that we'll be considering tonight. So we stand with recess.